Hi. Tony, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting me to this very important conference. And I'd like to thank you and your colleagues for all the work you put in organizing this. Next, I'd like to say I should have taken time, instead of eating lunch, to change the title here. It seems to me it should be Humanities plus Engineering, shouldn't it? Or should it be Engineering plus Humanities? It's a question. Perhaps we can debate that a bit as we get toward the end of the presentation. What is international engineering? The good news is that just about any engineering dean in the country understands that their students will be working globally, one way or another. And just about every dean in the country, engineering dean in the country, is trying to establish some kind of international program. That could be a summer trip to, or a between semester trip or whatever, to China to visit companies and visit universities. It could be a course on structure mechanics taught in Finland and English, or it could be an online program with students from different countries working together on a common project. It could be many, many, many different things. But one thing is for sure, there won't be a heck of a lot of language in it. And that's the bad news. Engineers, I think, are still caught up in this idea. I mean, we don't have any more room in the curriculum. We simply can't do it. And besides, you know, the whole world speaks English, so who really needs it? But at Rhode Island, for 26 or 27 years now, we've been running this program called the International Engineering Program, which combines the study of engineering and foreign language and culture. And we did that. We had a new dean come to URI sort of when I was poking around looking for opportunities because I knew we were going to have to do something, otherwise my program in German was totally going to disappear. We had a new dean come to campus whose name was Herman Wietz, and Herman had two N's. And I said, he has to be a German. So I visited him as quickly as possible and discovered that he had been German-born, raised in a German-speaking family, and he and I had a meeting of the minds very quickly that the world was globalizing. I mean, this was back in the 80s, technically before people really were talking seriously about globalization. But he could see it, and I could see it, and we could both see an opportunity that would be good for our language programs and good for engineering as well. So this is the outcome. I always tell people it's not rocket science. I mean, there isn't room to do serious language work in the four-year engineering curriculum, so you've got to have more time. So we designed a very tight curriculum and a 5-year program that would lead to both a BA with a major in a foreign language. At that time, at the beginning point, it was just German, and the BS in any one of the engineering disciplines. Key piece of it was a semester of study abroad and a 6-month paid professional engineering internship also abroad, so a full year abroad. These are our engineering disciplines. It can be done with any one of these fields. These are the languages that we do the program in at this point. We began in German. German is still kind of the leading program. It has German and engineering still have a strong reputation. French was the second language. Then we added Spanish. Then we added Chinese, and most recently we've added Italian. And we also have built in a minor in Portuguese for Hispanic students so that as part of their program they can develop skills in Portuguese, and we've been sending students then to do internships in Brazil. Is it a true language major? I'm often asked. Well, I'll let you judge that. I mean, in terms of credits, it's a minimum of 30 credits, 36 credits for the students who are beginning the language from scratch, and that often happens. We don't have many German programs, for example, in the high schools, in our area. So students who want to do it in German often are coming in with 4 or 5 years of Spanish or French or whatever, but saying, no, I want to do the program in German. We're not a classic literature major by any means, as it was during the first 15 years of my career at URI. I would call us a German studies program, perhaps. Focus on oral proficiency and cultural history, technical and business culture, cross-cultural communication, advanced technical work in the language. And because the engineers are doing a full BA, they have to do additional general education courses. So they're doing more. They have an additional art course that they have to take, or in the arts, an additional course in philosophy or history above what they would have had to do in engineering. And then, as I said, they spend the full year abroad. There again, the good news in the reports from IIE is that there are more and more American students studying abroad. The bad news is that they're usually studying abroad for a very short term. They get counted, I don't know at what level, perhaps somebody knows, they actually start counting 2-week programs, 3-week programs, certainly summer programs. But the numbers of students who go for a full semester or for a full year is very small, unfortunately. So our work is done at a partner university. All work is done in the host language, and the coursework at the university is then followed by a 6-month. What am I hearing? Okay. Yeah. All work is done in the host language at the partner university, albeit some of the courses are what we would call sheltered courses, specialized courses taught in the language for our students, but they're also taking courses that German engineering students would be taking as well. The 6-month professional internship follows the study, the 1 semester of study at the partner university. And as I said, the internships are paid. We look for a contact person, someone we can work with. Someone we can work with at the partner university, and someone that the student can turn to, a mentor, I would say. And we also ask the companies to help out with housing situations, so that it varies. Every case is different. Sometimes the stipend is a little bit smaller, and the room and board are covered. Sometimes the stipend is larger, and the company simply helps them find a place to live, and they take care of the financial obligations themselves. Oops. These are our partner universities. Particularly to be noted, we've reached out more for the Spanish program to Latin America, because it's so difficult right now, given the economic situation in Spain, to arrange internships in Spain. So we're sending students more to Latin America, to Mexico and to Chile now. We were very fortunate to be included as winners in the competition for the very recent award from the President's 100,000 Strong in the Americas initiative. That was just announced a week before last, I believe. This is our, as I said, our strongest program, sort of our flagship program is the German program, and our partner university is the Technische Universität Braunschweig. This shows, I'm particularly proud of the fact that we've exchanged over 600 students between the two schools for a full 1-year basis. That is, our students are going for a year. The reason the blue line, our line, is taller is that the way it works is students are paying the tuition rates at home and then swapping places. The German students like to come for a full year and do a master's degree in one of the engineering fields, and for that they need tuition coverage for 2 semesters. So it takes 2 of our students going to Braunschweig to create a 1-year spot for one of the Braunschweig students. So negotiations and things like this are always a bit more complex than they seem on the surface. But the nice thing is that with the number of years of the exchange with Braunschweig, I feel like we've impacted the lives of students in a major way by sending them abroad, now over 600 students for an entire year. We also have fostered the development of research collaborations among the faculty at the 2 schools, and that's been a very positive thing. Here's an example of one of our interns. We're placing a lot of interns in all kinds of disciplines, whether it's chemical engineering or mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. It could be wind turbines. This student was, his dream internship was to work for a racing team for BMW, which I thought would be impossible, but he pulled it off. So and this is a list of the, if you go to our website, you can find a much more complete list. But this is a list of some of the companies that we're working most closely with right now. American companies with subsidiaries abroad, German companies with subsidiaries in the U.S. Usually we try to work with companies that have a reachable North American affiliate so that we can place students in pre-internships, I would call them, after say the 2nd year or the 3rd year of their undergraduate program before they go abroad. The ideal being if they can work with a company, with a global company in Rhode Island or in the area first, and then with the company in Germany or China or France or Spain, whatever. The extra year, some people often say, well, you're asking students to do 5 years instead of 4 years. That's a lot more tuition. Well, it's not too bad because there is, fortunately, no tuition charge for the internship semester. We were able to negotiate that with our administration, and I think that was a big boost for the program. Also, URI has facilitated or encouraged more students to go abroad by allowing any student who goes abroad for that semester to pay in-state tuition, whether they are in-state or out-state students. So for the year abroad, they're spending in-state tuition to cover their spot while they go abroad to get that spot at the German university. They're paying room and board while they're abroad on their own, but room and board at the European universities, at any rate, is heavily subsidized, so that's a very reasonable, turns out to be a very reasonable year abroad. These are the facts right now. University of Rhode Island is not a giant university like the University of Michigan or Ohio State. We have about, I guess, 14,000 undergraduates right now. And we have 320 students in the IEP program, over a quarter of the population, the undergraduate population of the College of Engineering. And 30% are women, which I think is neat. Here's our chunk of the College of Engineering. I'm very proud of that fact because when you consider the College of Engineering curriculum itself has absolutely no language requirement. These students have opted to do an extra year and a full language major and a full year abroad. So that's by choice. It's not by requirement in any way, shape, or form. for your curiosity, this is the way it breaks down in terms of the different languages. The German at the bottom, the white being Spanish, black being French, and the top one being Chinese. French has not grown. I think it's unfortunate that the prejudices that we have as Americans as to what is important culturally in certain cultures plays a role here. That is, the average American thinking of Germany and engineering, oh, that clicks. Yeah, there's Mercedes, there's BMW, there's Siemens, things that we see every day. What French companies are we seeing? You know, where do I want to invest my time? So it's unfortunate that a lot of the students who have invested 4 or 5 years in French in the schools are coming over and joining the Chinese program or the German program. It's not unfortunate. They're doing well with whatever they do, but it's unfortunate for the French program. This is the growth of the German IEP enrollment in the last 14 or 15 years. This is just something that warms the cockles of my heart, because before beginning this program, I had invested maybe 15 years at URI, and we were at the point where the dean was saying, you know, John, we're not going to be able to let you keep teaching these senior level literature courses to 3 students. You know, it just won't work. So the major was in danger at that point, and with the major in danger, I think the whole program was at risk at that time. But right now, this is how many students we're teaching each semester. Here's an example. Christian Marx. After the 3rd year, this is the kind of case that I described a few minutes ago. He went to do a summer internship, a paid internship, by the way, with Hexagon Metrology, which is a global company with North American headquarters in Rhode Island. In the 4th year, he went to China and studied computer engineering at Zhejiang University, followed by an internship with Hexagon Metrology in Qingdao. And then I think he's got this semester to go, completing a capstone design project, which is also coordinated with Hexagon. And Hexagon, I know, plans to hire him. The other student, Sean Taylor, did the same kind of thing, but went to Germany for the fall of his 4th year and did an internship in Germany with Leitz Messtechnik, which is in Wetzlar, which is Hexagon Metrology, and he has now gone to work for that company in Michigan. Another interesting example, Chris and Draka spent his fall semester 2011 at Zhejiang University. Then he interned with Bayer, the German chemical and pharmaceutical giant, in Shanghai. Came back, completed his 5th year, and was actually recruited out of Germany by a German company to Continental. You know, they're most famous for their tires, but they're a supplier for all kinds of things for the automotive industry. Continental likes our program, supports our program, and they sent recruiters over to talk to kids like Chris, and they offered him a position in the, well, it's an advanced management trainee program. So he was in Mount Vernon, Illinois for 6 months. Now he's in Germany for 9 months, and learning German too, by the way. And then he'll be sent to China for 6 months. Following that, the completion of that program, he'll then be integrated into the company in a regular way. Another example, Shada Danesh did the same kind of sequence with the same company, Hexagon Metrology. with one variation. When she went to Germany, to our partner university, she discovered that they have a metrology institute, so she was able to do a research project with the Metrology Institute there. So step one, an internship with Hexagon in Rhode Island, then Metrology Institute at the Technische Universität Braunschweig, then an internship with Hexagon in Germany. Then she came back, did her design project, senior design project, again in collaboration with the same company. And they were just gung-ho to hire her, but she applied to graduate school at MIT, and off she went. So she is now a doctoral candidate. She completed her master's and is now a doctoral candidate. Another piece of our program, which is a little bit unusual, a little bit distinctive, in the final years of my time at URI, we took over 2 trashed fraternity houses. And we were able to find support from friends of the program and from and some corporate support. We were able to take out a couple of huge mortgages, and one at a time, mind you, but we now have room for almost 80 students, housing rooms for students to live there. We have a dining room, we have our own cook, so that anybody interested in the IEP or faculty, students, or whatever, find their way to the kitchen of the IEP house for lunch. And this also provides substantial meeting space and office space for the leadership of the program. So this is right at the entrance to campus. So we have sort of a small college feeling in the midst of a state university that provides really a very nice atmosphere for the students. That's the way it looked before, after, before, after. So next step, I just didn't know what to do when I retired, so I started writing books. This book here, which is available, by the way, on Amazon.com, is a case study of 15 of our students who have been out in the workplace for 8 or 10 years. Some a little bit less, some a little bit more. I wanted to reach out to as many alumni as I could, and I keep close contact with our alumni, fairly close contact through Facebook and through LinkedIn, so I can keep track of who is where and how they're doing. But my purpose here was to reach out to them and ask them where they are, what they're doing, how it's going, et cetera, and to look back and reflect a bit and say what difference the program made for them. Did it help? Did it open doors? Certainly there's a definable value added. What is it? Can we define it? Can we describe it? What skills did you glean from the IEP experience that you would not have gleaned if you had just done the straight engineering program? These are all bright kids, and I know that they would have gotten an engineering degree and that they would have gotten jobs and they would have done well in their careers. But they did this program, so what difference did it make? These are a few of the kids. Unusual case. Sarah Raji grew up speaking Farsi at home, did biomedical engineering and German, went to Braunschweig and went to, I can't remember at the moment where she did her internship at Siemens, I think, Siemens Medical Solutions, yes. And then she came back and decided, I'm going to try to go to medical school. So she got early admission to Brown Medical School. Before I started writing this book, she contacted me and she said, Dr. Grandin, I have to tell you, I just completed my MD at Brown, and at the same time, I'm getting the Masters of Public Health from Harvard. And, by the way, I've just been accepted to the vascular surgery program at Yale. And she said, believe it or not, I owe it all to the IEP. And I said, why is she saying that? Is she trying to make me feel good? Is she trying to butter me up? Does she need something from me? So I pursued this with her and with some of these other kids to find out what it was about the IEP that made a difference for them. Sonia Gaitan is a Colombian immigrant. Her family came to Rhode Island from Colombia. She's now, she did her internship in Brazil for Johnson & Johnson. She's now a senior quality engineer at Johnson & Johnson. Nika McManus is at Boeing. Jesse Schneider is an interesting case. He's a Rhode Islander. He works for BMW on alternative energy materials, information developments at the headquarters, at the research headquarters in Munich. And right now, as an American, he's been sent to New Jersey on a 3-year expat assignment. So weird things can happen in the global society. They told me, they agreed with me, these are the things that we've always claimed, the things that we've put into our brochures. You know, you're going to be very competent in another language. You're going to develop very good cross-cultural communication skills. Through your internship, you'll be exposed to another engineering culture. You'll start building a professional network. You'll get the travel bug and want to go back as soon as you get back home again. That's what they told them. This is what they told me. They said, in addition to that, the program, and especially the year abroad, dramatically changed their lives. Well, I've always felt that, but how do you measure somebody changing their life or their life being changed? And these are the things that they identified. Being sent abroad and being plugged into an environment of a foreign university that does not have all the hand-holding that's typical of an American university, requiring everything to be done in the language, requiring considerable independence through the whole process, even though there isn't infrastructure there for them. They felt that they were encountering problems every day, challenges every day, and that they were things that would be typically taken care of for them, but they were things that they had to take care of themselves, and they did that. So they said my problem-solving skills developed tremendously during this period of time. They spoke of the tolerance for difference, discovering difference. Most of the kids, I think, do not really believe it when I tell them that the Germans are different. You know, and we have programs and exercises to deal with all of that, but when they come back, they say, yeah, they really are different. So increasing tolerance for difference and ambiguity, all of these things, they said, led to a boost in self-confidence. This is something I wasn't sure I could do. I went ahead and did it, and I survived it, and had a very positive experience looking back, and that really boosted my self-confidence. This, in turn, Sarah Raji, the young physician, is a good example of that, but most of them told me the same thing, that during that period of time, they realized that the predetermined path wasn't necessarily going to be the end goal for them, and they realized that there were other possibilities and maybe more challenging opportunities that they would never have seen before or would never have believed possible before. So they talked about this kind of thing. So I have called the book Going the Extra Mile, University of Rhode Island Engineers in the Global Workplace. An example, John DeMuro was a chemical engineer. He did summer work for a company in Rhode Island and said, you wouldn't believe what they're doing with the chemicals, the waste that's being dumped in places where it shouldn't be dumped. He said, I could never work for that company. That's a horrible place. he went to Germany and discovered a new sensitivity to sustainability and to recycling and so forth. He came back and applied for and won a Truman Scholarship or a Truman Fellowship, and used that money to go to England for a Master's of Philosophy and Engineering for Sustainable Development at Cambridge. Now he's working for Dow Chemical, and he's one of the key players in their sustainability operations, and very, very happy with where he is. Ana Franco, another young immigrant. She came to Rhode Island. She and her family came to Rhode Island just after she had graduated from high school. She spent a year at the junior college learning English, did very well, came to URI. People told her, well, you need to be in the Spanish IEP. And she said, no, I speak Spanish. I'm going to do the German IEP. So she did the German IEP, was recruited by Daimler Chrysler when they were Daimler Chrysler. Daimler Chrysler supported her for an automotive engineering master's degree. And then the company broke apart, and they didn't value languages anymore, and she left. They gave her a new car, and she left. And now she's a product manager for Siemens in the Atlanta area. So Dan Fisher, another Rhode Islander, he oversees, he's a product manager for a line of MRI systems, developing the instruments, overseeing the development, engineering development of and manufacturing of the instruments, as well as the sales. He's there to stay. He just married a German woman, and I don't think we'll see him professionally back in Rhode Island. These are his words. Have I got a couple more minutes?
Yeah,
I do, okay. Quickly, what's the bottom line here in terms of our discussion? Well, engineering plus language, as we define it, equals not only jobs but careers. I think you could put that down as a formula. And we've had enough experience and enough exposure to companies who have supported us, taken our interns and so forth, that we feel very confident in saying that employers in the world we've been working with want this. And being a good engineer is not enough. It's got to be engineering plus. Soft and hard skills, second language skills, international experience is a requirement for some of these companies. And they're expecting their German students to have at least 3 languages. Written and oral communication skills, that's a topic that's always mentioned. Analytical and problem-solving skills. The ability to take calculated risks. And what they've also often mentioned that I didn't put down because it sounds so scary is the ability to make decisions when you don't have all the facts. Bottom line for us, this was good for languages and good for engineering and good for URI. It saved the German program. We could say that. That might have been my prime motivation at the time. Saved my job. Languages, we can say at URI, have become far more central to the university curriculum. You know, you get a visit from the pharmacy dean saying, how can we do this? You know, how can we get this going? And in the meantime, the business school has developed an IBP, an international business program, following the same model. And I can show this to the engineering dean at URI, and he will agree. Engineering views the IEP as their single greatest strength. I mean, they're bragging about it all the time. And the president, who came to URI about 3 or 4 years ago, has made globalization, internationalization a top priority for the institution. So why isn't this happening more often? What's holding us back from this kind of program developing in more places? Well, as I say, love of the status quo, the silo mentality that we heard about a little while ago. And I think there is a genuine fear of associating the humanities with something practical. You know, we have to get over that. The fear of being reduced to a service function. There are still a few people in the language department at URI who think I sold the whole enterprise out. Tenure and promotion system, I mentioned that a little while ago, that I was panicked when I was approaching retirement because I said, how are we going to find somebody? We can't bring in an assistant professor in any of the engineering disciplines and say, here, do this, because he or she would never get tenure. There would be no time for a research program. There would be no time for writing grants for research. And likewise for language. So we need a hard look. Higher education needs a hard look at this, the tenure and promotion system. How do we change the system to promote, to let things like this happen and for people to be rewarded for doing them? Funding, of course, that's a given. I wrote another book. This is a brief history of the International Engineering Program. The editor said, tell us about yourself and tell us how and why you got involved in this. Why would you, as a German professor, want to be doing stuff like this? You know, what got you into it? What turned you on? So there's something about that. But then tell us about the bumps and bruises along the way. Tell us how you got things done when people said, no, you can't do that. How we got it done anyway. So I guess that's it at this point.